First reading, the addition of Kelvin Grove Beach as an on-leash only area was an oversight, and the bylaw should be amended as follows prior to second reading. Section 6.7.1, prohibited areas. Remove Kelvin Grove Beach from the list. Bullet number 2, under section 6.7.1, prohibited areas. Remove Lions Bay Elementary School from the list, not our jurisdiction. Section 6.7.2, on-leash only areas, remove Kelvin Grove Beach Park from the list. So I hope that that helps people with their information, and it certainly helps clarify things, I think, for us all. And with that, I'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is public participation. And I'll go to my list now. With public participation, there is an overall time limit of 10 minutes, and people being able to speak up to 2 minutes. We actually have a total of 6 speakers that have signed up, and with council's permission, if we strongly keep to 2 minutes, would council be of the mind, thank you, to receive all 6 of the speakers this evening. So we'll start with Susan Publicover. Thank you.
Hi. I'm Susan Publicover. I live at 40 Alview Place, and I wanted to thank council for correcting the minutes as we requested, but I still had a question about our documentation and why none of that has shown up in the agenda packet. If there's a reason why, or if it will eventually show up in the packet.
Perhaps I can go to Mr. McRadu on 2 points. Because Ms. Publicover, I need to check in with him as to, I don't believe this is any conflict of interest for myself, but I'll just check in. I don't think it is. No,
Madam Mayor, I'll find that out unless, Mandy, are you able to answer it?
I believe they were added to the website later as on-table items, not attached to the agenda, but added as on-table items, your actual documents.
On table?
Yeah, so there's a link.
Where would those be found?
In the, on the website in the calendar where the actual meeting is, there's a link in that meeting to on-table items. So there's a separate link for the package, then there's a link to on-table items.
Okay.
They'll be in there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Publicover. If I can go on to Susan Rolfe, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I am Susan Rolfe. And I want to thank Ron McLaughlin, first of all, for withdrawing the letter of approval to top the maple and 3 pine trees adjacent to our property, but still just here's our property and then the trees are right here. And I'm here because I still want to talk to council because I'm very confused. We wrote an objection letter on May the 16th. We gave it to Fran and she dated it, and here it is, May the 16th, in lots of time. We had until the 23rd. We heard through a neighbor that the tree committee had approved of the chopping. I know it's removed, but just hear me out, of the maple and 3 pine trees. So I phoned Tony Cox, and I phoned Tony Clayton and Ron McLaughlin. And Tony Cox and Ron McLaughlin said they did not receive an objection letter from us, even though it was stated. And I've only got 2 minutes, so I didn't want to stick to this. But Tony Clayton read our objection letter, so that concerns me. And Tony Cox was surprised that he didn't hear from us because we objected to it a couple of years ago when this letter the tree was asked to be topped. But this is the interesting part. Tony Clayton, I want to stress why we object. And this is a paragraph out of our letter. We are concerned about the stability of the bank above our property. We paid over $55,000 to raise our home several years ago. The soil had shifted under our home and it created, is that 2 minutes?
That's such a short time.
Okay, we're concerned because we're concerned about the stability of our slope and how much we paid to try and keep our house And we're very concerned that some members know about the objection letter and some people don't.
Okay. Could I just go to Councillor McLaughlin? Thank
Yes.
you very much, Ms. Rolfe.
Thank you, Mrs. Rolfe, and in particular, I appreciate your recognition, but I actually owe the recognition to Colette Coversive for hailing me. I don't think she wished me Happy Father's Day, but she did alert me to the situation. And
Me? I didn't.
No. Mrs. Coversive did. I'll be really quick on this one. And Mrs. Rolfe, this is an issue where the tree committee has made a mistake. The village did receive your letters. Without getting into the minutiae of the story, there were 2 emails sent. The majority of the, if not all of the tree committee read one, didn't read the other. The other made reference to 2 opposition letters. So without that piece of knowledge, the tree committee opined with the knowledge in hand, withdrawing the application. So in terms of your letters, yours and the other resident were received. The tree committee, as a technical point, doesn't look at them unless there's a deeper issue. So the village administration there's no problem there. They did all the right stuff. The tree committee, the whole tree committee, didn't look at the second email closely enough to see the issues. Had they done that, we probably wouldn't have opined the way we did, and we've withdrawn it for reconsideration.
And I know I've only got 2 minutes, but right in I looked it up, the tree committee says that you don't have the right of, you don't get to have the right of an impeded view. It's not a given right. And you have to consider other things, the effect on neighbors. And chopping of trees will be last consideration when dealing with tall trees and will rarely ever be approved.
Thank you very much. I'm going to leave this with Councillor McLaughlin and the tree committee.
Okay, just a closer. Mrs. Rolfe.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
but we'll know about it, will we? We'll get a letter? Because we just heard from the neighbor.
There'll be a follow-up on this application, which you'll hear about. The one that was
I was
withdrawn.
concerned that Tony's
Okay.
children
Okay.
would talk to the man that wanted the trees cut down, but not us.
It's okay.
Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. If I could then go on to Dr. John Sang. Dr. Sang?
Hi,
Hi.
Madam Mayor, member of the council. I come here tonight to express my opposition to filming in the lower Kelvin Grove area. However, I do not intend to be an obstructionist. I'd like to work with you. If in the wisdom of the council that the village can be divided into perhaps different zones, and where each zone can be have their self-determination, where the majority would rule in the local area, then the residents in Lower Kelvin Grove do not intend to obstruct any approach by the village to increase their revenue in the rest of the village. And we do not, however, want to see that the local majority is overruled in some area in the interest of one household and against the wish of the others. So if the local majority can be ascertained, I think we have some flexibility and hopefully work in a win-win situation. The genius of legislation or making by law is to find the maximum happiness for the most people. So I ask for your considerations, but we remain strongly opposed to filming in the Lower Kelvin Grove area from many bad previous experience. But we do not want to obstruct the rest of the village, and we respectfully request you not to be heavy-handed in the filming policy on us, despite our opposition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sang. I'm going to try and remember that as a quote. Thank you. If I can, then call upon Mr. Gambiz Azortigan. Mr. Azortigan?
Good evening, everybody. as you have the paper that we signed by 90% of the residents in Kelvin Grove, we are opposing to have a filming over there versus one household that I don't know why we have to not go with the majority, which is the PR majority. Additionally, I'm echo Dr. John Sang, whatever he said, and I'm here on behalf of my neighbors that they are in vacation mostly, and I would like just to consider it that it's not going to be possible that in this country we go by minority, 10%, and just forget 90% of the people. I'm sure that we consider it that we don't want any filming in Lower Kelvin Grove, and as Dr. Johnson said, just different zone can make a decision for their section, for their residents. And if we are in Lower Kelvin Grove, we are not going to impact to the decision of the people that are living some other place, none of our business. They have to suffer. And we don't want to suffer anymore for filming, when we are not coming here to be as a acting or just be a part of the filming. We came here just for peace, tranquility, and living with our family. As you want to just be in peace in your family. We want to just imagine that what will happen to us. We are not acting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I go on to the next person on the list, Dr. Louis Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor Broughton. I come because of something that Michael Tickner said at the reception the other night, and that is, if there's something that bothers you, you should really come forward and talk about it. And something has been bothering me for quite a while, and that is a system that we have here that tends to put pitch resident against resident or resident against the community, and it has to do with tree cutting. And I'm going to, can you just pass these around? I will have more of those later. I found that this whole question is a very difficult one, very delicate. But I came to a conclusion that Library needs a landscape committee as opposed to or separate from the tree committee. And that would be a committee that is responsive to modern environmental thinking that relates to the values of our natural surroundings in a modern and holistic sense. The committee spent a considerable amount of time producing a major document, our official community plan. And this is intended to give direction and stability to the established residents as well as to new residents. But there is one of the 8 significant overarching themes that I say is floundering, and that is the principle that deals with protecting our long-established trees against occasional demands to deface, and that I mean top or thin them out, or even remove them. In particular, our OCP informs us of the rich intrinsic environmental values that Lionsville has to offer, as summarized in respecting nature and the environment. And I've given you the 8 themes that are important, really, in our OCP. Now, several large trees in our beach park may be close to a century old, and may be among the very few heritage trees left within our boundaries. Unfortunately, the trees were seriously damaged several decades ago, and through inadvertent neglect, the growth pattern that set in was not ideal. The trees should not simply be cut down and on an expedient whim, without due diligence in considering all options, including conservation, preservation, maintenance, replacement, and cost. And you can read the rest of what I've written.
Thank you very much.
I've got another 2 pages that I'll send to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Louis. Most appreciated.
Is there an extra copy, or you?
Oh, no, let me give you this copy.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
No, that's okay.
But
It's
I
for
will
you,
send
Mayor.
everything to you
Thank
by
you.
email, but it's too much to cover in 2 minutes. But it
Thank
takes a
you
lot of
very
thought.
much.
It does take a lot of thought.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Peterson. Jürgen Odefe?
I don't have a question at this point.
Oh.
Later on it's too late, so that's okay. I just put my name in just in case.
Oh, thank you.
In
We do
case,
have
in
a public
case.
participation at the
If anybody
end.
wants to buy my 2 minutes, then
In case you wanted to show.
Thank you. If we can,
Am I supposed to email you this?
You can email, I would say to, through the village office, through Mr. McRadu. Okay, if not. If I can move us along then to delegations and to welcome Roy Mulder. Roy, welcome. And you are a delegation, and delegations receive 10 minutes speaking time before council. Roy, Mr. Mulder is joining us from the Marine Life Sanctuary Society of BC.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if I have enough for everybody. I'm sorry if I don't. I'm going to get a couple of extras there.
So what you have in front of you essentially are just a few different signage ideas. One is one that was two are ones that Bowen Island has taken on. One being the DFO one, and the other one being their own Bowen Island version of the sign. And essentially what I want to talk about is just, we've got a rockfish conservation area in front of Lions Bay. And we've noticed that the rockfish conservation areas aren't working very well. They're just not being enforced properly, and we're having a lot of issues with that. And we think that the community, if properly informed, could probably help us out by calling DFO every time they see somebody down there illegally fishing. And signage is a really good way to do that. The other thing I'd point out is that there's no fishing for lingcod or rockfish anywhere in Howe Sound. So this isn't just the rockfish conservation areas. In respect to that, you've also got a really, really unique cloud sponge bioherm out front of the marina there. So that's another issue, which I'm going to try to do in this 2 minutes. But essentially what we're asking for is we've seen that when Bowen Island put the signage in, the residents started calling up, in their case, which was the local RCMP, and they've had some very good success with the local RCMP escorting poachers right off the island. I'm afraid it's not the great option you have here. You can't really take somebody right out of Lions Bay, but you could certainly have them removed. So we're asking for a consideration that to bolster what's being done with the rockfish conservation area, to have some signage so that people know who to call. And we're not asking for policing by residents, since the last thing we want, but what we would like to see is to see if the village is interested in a local community stewardship program. Now, separate to this, and I know I've only got probably 30 seconds, is there's this huge cloud sponge bioherm that's directly in front of Lions Bay. This is a nursery of massive importance. We're currently talking with TFO for 9 areas of cloud sponge reefs in this area. Unfortunately, that one isn't even on the list, so it's not going to be included. So we're going to ask if Lions Bay, would you consider it as a referendum or community talk, whether there's a taste for a voluntary protected area for the cloud sponges, so that at least the Lions Bay community can say, we care about this area and we'd like to see this area protected on a voluntary basis. And we're already doing this with the rockfish conservation areas as a organization. Our voluntary protected area strategy includes the RCA and also includes the Lions Bay area. So if we could get support on this, it would really help us when we're talking to DFO about maybe more protections than the 9 sponge areas that they've cited. Because we think this one off Lions Bay is spectacular. We sent divers on it, and it was really, really cool. So if anyone has any questions about what happened. We found, if you would like a referral to people in Bowen, I'd be happy to give it. You know, there's Tim Purdy and some really good people over there with their fish group we're very enthused, and we've had some really good success by just starting a local community stewardship program.
Are there any questions? I don't want to interrupt because
Yeah.
your 10 minutes isn't
Long,
up yet.
yeah.
But no.
Oh, so good. Okay.
Public participation receives 2 minutes, but delegations receive 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So,
Yes.
so I'm at 7?
No, you get 7 left.
I guess 7 left. Well, I can talk some more because I can always fill in 7 minutes. I guess the best place to start is to go over the significance of these areas. And these things are really, really significant. That cloud sponge bioherm has probably been sitting there in front of Lions Bay for 10,000 years. And a dragger going through it could disturb it completely forever. There has been certain activity within Howe Sound for herring with nets and such, and if something like that were to catch. The fishermen don't want to hit these areas, and I'm not saying that they're doing it intentionally, but if we can start getting the awareness of those specific areas out there, and if we get the community behind the idea of a voluntary protected area strategy. And that's something that I'd really like to see, and I know it's not something that you're capable as a council. This is something that would have to be community driven, and I'm not sure whether you work by referendum or whether you do this as putting it forth as a suggestion. Yet I know that there's been some very good successes in the United States when they've done this in communities. Friday Harbor is a good example of that. Friday Harbor started as a voluntary protected area and is now enjoying federal protections. Same thing with the Channel Islands in California. It started out as a voluntary area and it turned into an area that became a protected area officially. I'd like to point out that our Canadian coastline only experiences 1% of total no-take protection. We're actually on a world scale, we're falling far behind all the other first world and third world nations right now. So this is an opportunity for your community to shine and say, we're the ones who'd like to see this happen. Given that the lingcod and the rockfish are already closed, this ought not to be too much of an ask for the community. I think where you'll see the biggest objection perhaps to the cloud sponges might be the prawn people, but they're still best, and it's been our experience that inside the sponges themselves are not prolific areas anyway. So we will tell them where it is so that they can avoid it and fish the outside area where they will do well, or we will point them to where they do well. Ken down at the marina has been very cooperative, and he actually put up a great big poster for us showing where this cloud sponge area is and pointing out that, you know, please stay out of it because it's so delicate. And it's a nursery. You can figure on the role it plays is as a nursery for young rockfish, which is really critical. And with the adjacent rockfish conservation area, it's perfect. Because what happens is once they get to sub-adult, they recruit into the surrounding area, which is a really good thing. And the other thing that the sponges do, and a lot of people don't realize it is they're cleaners. They'll clean 10 times their volume in an hour. So when you're looking at that Lions Bay bioharm, which is the size of football fields, that thing is filtering water at a phenomenal rate. At hundreds of thousands of gallons of water are being filtered by that thing on a regular basis. So environmentally, they're a big plus. Now, the other thing I think might be a kind of an offshoot, and I guess it kind of depends if you're pro-development or not, but if LNG is a concern and gravel mining is a concern, I think one of the best things you can do is put a speed bump in the way. And I think when you put a protected area in the way of something like that, it does become a bit of a speed bump because people start rallying around the protected area. And as a consequence of that, it makes it a lot more harder to drive industry through. I mean, we have some big concerns about McNabb Creek, as I know a lot of Lions Bay residents do. But this works towards getting a conservation idea forward. Because one of the things that they're looking at right now is the environmental assessment. What is this area worth to us? And it's worth a lot to us environmentally if it's protected. If it's not, I'm here to say that I've been diving Howe Sound for 25 years, and in that 25 years I've seen it go from schools of rockfish to individual rockfish to no rockfish in a lot of areas. And one of the things that we really see the difference in is we have the opportunity for 1 month of the year to dive the Lions Bay Marina when Ken closes the marina, because Ken doesn't allow anyone in there. And we're an exception because we've got a relationship, and he lets us go in there and film and see it. That little strip he's got going there in Lions Bay is a protected area only because Ken doesn't allow anybody in there to fish because it's dangerous for the boat that's coming in and out. Because of that, he's created a mini protected area. I've seen 40-pound lingcod in there. I've seen schools of big shiner perch in there. It's just phenomenal what we're seeing happening in this little strip of breakwater where those boats are. And so what we're saying is if you did this in your rockfish conservation area and enjoyed some nice protection, then perhaps we could see that same thing in your community and we'd be, you know, much further ahead on conservation. So, any questions? Yeah, certainly.
Councillor Bain?
I'm curious, like at the marina, they've got a foreshore lease though, so he has a lot of control over it.
That's right.
The rest of us don't. So how could a volunteer group work with DFO to attain that?
That's where the signage comes in. So essentially, one of the challenges that we've found when we've been talking stewardship with communities is the fact that nobody knows who to call. And if something as simple as a phone number on a sign will start pointing people toward, the gentleman who does community involvement here is Rob Bell Irving. I think some of you probably already know Rob. And Rob's been one of the very few DFO staff to retain his job. and he's very good. And he's very big at community outreach. So if he starts getting phone calls regularly from the community, you will see that the policing will increase, and you will see a much more diligent enforcement strategy. And we're hoping that this will create a push. He's already told me he's getting more calls because of the work we're doing in outreach right now. And if I have my way, his phone will be ringing off the hook. Because I'd like to see that. I think we've gone from like 8 enforcement staff in House M to 2. So that's what we're dealing with there. We've got a real problem that way, that we're just not seeing that enforcement. But we do not want to see policing. And I have to really express that, because we don't want people yelling at boats or yelling at fishermen. All we want people to do is pick up a phone and make a call. We've actually put a shadow reporting site on our website, our Marine Life Sanctuary website, so that people, when they see this, can report to us at all. Because we're trying to get a feel for how many reports are being made to DFO. So we're kind of asking that when people call DFO, just kind of go to our website and tell us that they've called them, just so we kind of know what's going on. I've personally called DFO probably half a dozen times because we dive around the Boyer Reef a lot. There's 2 reefs off Boyer. And we've noticed there's some consistent poaching going on, and often the same people. And they're pretty flagrant about it. They've got to know us now, so they disappear when we show up. But I've called up a half a dozen times, and they have not been able to report once yet. So I'll give you an idea that, you know, this is going to be something that we're going to have to push a little bit. But I mean, we pay for government services, and if we're not experiencing protections that are already there, then it's up to the stewards who live locally to actually start taking that role on. And I think we're going to see this in the future. I think we can't expect our government to take on these roles. So I think as communities, we have to start talking about it. And I'm really concerned about this sponge area. It's a big one. Yeah,
if I can see if anybody else has a question, and then once council has finished asking their questions, we'll need to move on.
Okay.
Mr. Mulder. But my question is really around the voluntary protected area strategy. And firstly, though, to just confirm that lingcod and rockfish are already...
They're already under a closure model.
Under a closure
in-house
model.
sound.
Okay.
In-house sound. But it's not well known.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are crabs, clams, oysters, and shrimp, prawns also under closure?
Any of the shellfish that are you dig up. So that would be you know,
more like
mussel
oysters
or clams, mussels, that sort of thing. And that's for paralytic shellfish reasons more than enforcement or closure areas. That's there because of health reasons.
Right. We just had a red tide last week, and
you can see them.
Red tide.
The fingers go out from here.
Yeah, you would not want
to
consume that shellfish. But it does not include the crab and shrimp.
No, crabs and shrimp will still be fished, and actually we're not advocating to stop it everywhere. We just want to see those areas that are of special concern.
Okay,
and
so that's what I wanted to clarify. Right. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to clarify. And so that's what takes you to the voluntary protected area strategy. So we have a lot of different community members who are probably involved in crab and prawn fishing.
Oh, we don't want to discourage that at all.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think that if I could ask that maybe this come on to our next agenda for a more fulsome discussion.
I expect that.
And in the meantime, if there are any members that you know of within the community who might want to to be part of, or if there's a council member that might want to, but a voluntary protected area strategy development that could come before council, and how would it work with the marina and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because that might be very helpful. The value add that you've mentioned about the sponge clouds in front of Lions Bay, for example, and the cleaning of the water that they're doing, just by virtue of how they are living and existing in the marine world, was very interesting and beneficial. And it's beneficial to our beaches and the sea life here as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Mulder.
Thank you.
And is there any further comment from council? Okay, and if we can just bring that forward under perhaps new business, voluntary protected area strategy. But I would hope that I can hear something from a community member that might be interested in
Okay, I
putting together a
think I
group.
might know somebody, I might be able to strong arm on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, thank you.
so much.
Yeah.
If we can move along then to adoption of minutes, and we have a whole series of, it looks like 6 sets of minutes. And if I can have council begin by moving the April 28th, 2014 minutes. Could I have council move? Thank you, Councillor Ando, and second, Councillor Bain. Any additions, changes, deletions to those minutes? There being none, call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can move along then to the May 6th minutes, and could I have council please move and second? Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin, and the seconder, Councillor Bain. Any changes, additions, deletions? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, there's, I think, more of a clarification on page 13. Even going through it, it says, and I'll just read the sentences, Dr. Broughton provided insight into the plowing of snow at the commercial strata complex, period. Dr. Broughton advised that the strata garbage, it actually should say, strike out strata and say village townhouse garbage.
Thank you very much. I have just some notes from page 12, item 1 under number 11, and it's just minor. Revised principles for cooperation, and that's twice in that paragraph, and if all of those, the revised principles for cooperation could all be capitalized. Anything else? There being none. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Ando.
So, on page 13, where in public questions and comments, that was the section that I had asked that you review the tape to ensure that's what he spoke about, because my recollection was that it was on some different matter, and I was just wanting to confirm that that actually happened.
We did, yeah.
You did, and that's what he spoke about.
That's the way I understood it.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ando, for that clarification. If there's nothing further, call question on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. If we can move along to May 8th, the special meeting of council. Could I have council please move and second? Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin and Councillor Bain. Any additions, changes, deletions? There being none, call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can move along then to the special meeting of council on May 13th. And council, could I have you move and second, please? Councillor Bain? Councillor Ronsley, thank you. Any changes, additions, deletions? Just on page 20, just a minor one, last paragraph under 6A. Second line, instead of nothing, noting. Nothing further. Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can move along then to the regular meeting of May 20th. Could I have council move in second? Thank you, Councillor Ando. And seconder, Councillor Ronsley. Any additions, changes, deletions? Thank you, Councillor Bain.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there. Thank you very much. So Councillor Bain notes he was not in attendance, but having a good time anyway, I'm presuming. Councillor McLaughlin?
Yes, Mayor Broughton, page 27, the third line from the bottom, which begins on that showcase yards.
Yeah.
If that line could be struck and the period goes to June 1st, 2014.
Thank you. That being all, I'll call, oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Ando.
Page 28, CI, or C1. 1, 2, 3, 4th line down.
Yeah.
Staff to review it first and take out as well.
Remove as well, so staff to review and add comments. Thank you so much.
It first.
I'm sorry, pardon me?
Remove as well.
Yes.
And replace it with it first.
I'm so sorry, I don't know why I can't hear what you're saying. Remove as well, I hear that.
Remove as well, and replace it with it first.
It first?
So, the mayor and staff to review it
first. Okay. I did hear what you were saying. I thought I didn't hear what you were saying. Thank you.
Just as clarification, what does it mean? What's it refer to?
The Excel spreadsheet. We will do that. We have not done that.
The Excel spreadsheet, okay. The trouble with this is that it doesn't identify what the Excel spreadsheet is. It talks about an Excel, I think, just for clarification, we should identify which one it is.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen it, so I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
what it is, so.
Okay. And who has seen it?
Isn't it the 2013?
Oh, the
5-year.
Schedule A?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
It's the 2005 Schedule A.
Sorry, the two.
No, just a
I
second.
believe it's the document that interim CAO has assembled with all of the different spreadsheets that he's been able to uncover or discover, and has put them all onto one master spreadsheet, and that's what I believe that they wanted me to review. That's what I believe that Excel spreadsheet refers to.
That's incorrect.
Okay. So,
Pardon me?
There is no Excel spreadsheet that we've created.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree. Okay. So that's a,
I think what's being referred to is the spreadsheet of the 2005 master plan.
The net.
Right, Schedule A.
Schedule
And then the
A.
intent was to create a spreadsheet that you're talking about, but that has not been done.
So,
But it
and
might
this
be-
is similar to the work that former Secretary Treasurer
That's correct.
Zaba had done, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And which yielded Schedule A, which is in the 2013 five-year plan.
Which is the starting
Not to be
point.
confused
Right.
with 2005.
Right.
It's the 2013 Schedule A. Okay, thank you for that clarification,
Yeah,
one and all.
Like to see something, so.
Yeah, okay, so we can look at the Schedule A from the 2013 five-year plan.
So just so we're clear, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
is what we're talking about is go through the 2013
Schedule A.
Schedule A as prepared by,
Mr. Farouk Zaba.
okay, that's what needs to be said.
Thank you,
Okay.
that's excellent, very clear. Okay, thank you so much for that clarification. Can I call question then on the minutes of May 20th? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. If we can move on then to the special meeting of June 4th. Could I have Councillor move and second? Thank you, Councillor Bain, and the seconder. Councillor Ando, thank you. The minutes are pretty brief and straightforward. Any discussion, changes, deletions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. If I can move along then to business arising from the minutes, do unfinished business. Thank you, Councillor Ando.
Or business arising.
Yes.
From the minutes from the May 6th meeting, so page 9 of 350.
Yeah.
The interim CAO's report. In it, it says Dr. Broughton at his own cost is obtaining a survey confirming the trees were not located on municipal property. Does the municipality have a copy of that survey?
Yes, we do, Madam Mayor.
Would it be possible that council get a copy of that survey? I've gone down to look at the trees, and first, I wasn't able to find the IP, or the iron pin. So that's number one. Number two, the trees look awfully close to the creek, some of the trees that were cut. And trees that need to be cut close to a creek, if they're within 30 meters of a creek, require special permission from a special ministry, and I'm not sure which one that is, but if it's possible that you could provide us with the survey, it would be most appreciated. Is that possible?
You're certainly welcome to take a look at it at the office. It's a large sheet, so you're certainly welcome to take a look at it.
That should work.
Is that fine for
Is
everybody?
that
If there's any
acceptable?
more discussion on this, I'll just excuse myself or recuse myself.
This is a question for Councillor Ando. I'm not sure, once he's got the survey in the staff polices the village's rights. what you're going to do with the information.
Maybe I should just,
Sure.
I think, I just want to
Abundance.
interrupt, just, you know, it's that gray area, it's moving into a gray area. I'm just going to recuse myself due to the fact that Dr. Broughton is my husband. And just maybe if I might, because your proximity, good. Thank you, Councillor Ronson. And I'll just go down to the gymnasium. Thank you.
You can actually go to this room.
Oh,
Yeah, that's probably
sure.
easier.
Sure, is that okay?
It's safe.
It's newly.
There's a light on
There should be a
it.
light.
Sorry, to repeat the question.
Okay.
Councillor Rando's asked for a copy of the survey. I don't need a copy of the survey. And my question to Councillor Rando is, with the survey in hand, he's making reference to a village administrative function to do research on whether it's 30 feet or which particular ministry or other government body this falls into.
Oh, if that's, you know, through you, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
if that's a question, I think I answered that at the last meeting, is that you know, if there is any requirement of other ministries to give approvals, then the other ministries need to deal with it. So, you know, what I'm understanding is that he's going to take a look at a survey that was done by a professional survey company, and, you know, I guess he can do with it what he wishes. So,
But from my opinion, we've had residents that have a concern. And I believe that we need to represent our residents, whether it's within the village, whether it's on village property, or outside of the village, and if it's on MOT property. And so if the trees were cut, or the trees have been cut, and whether they were have been cut either legally or illegally, with permission, without permission, and whether they're affecting the stability of the bank, which is the major concern, I think that as a council, as an administration, that's part of our responsibility to represent our residents when they have a problem. And they've clearly come to us a couple of times and identified that they have a problem, and I believe that we need to address that and support our residents in their efforts to ensure that the bank is stable.
Madam Mayor, I think, you know, I think the comment that has been made, and I think was answered previously, is what I would caution any jurisdiction is stay within your own purview. As soon as you start moving into somebody else's purview, one is that you don't have jurisdiction. Two, it becomes very expensive. And three, the answer's already been given by the Ministry of Transportation and Highways. And I think, you know, a simple call to the Ministry of Transportation and Highways may solve your question. Whether, and I really caution, as much as we would like to do as much as we can to protect everybody's interests, a private citizen allowed trees to be cut down on their property. That's legal. If it has impact on another property, that is a civil matter. It is not something that the municipality should get involved with or ought to get involved with, because it is not within our jurisdiction, and it opens us up to perhaps even being engaged in something that we have no jurisdiction on. So I think, you know, the question that you're asking is that what can we do to help? We would like to help, but the problem is that it's whatever has been done on private property.
So you're 100% confident that none of the trees were on village's property? That's number one.
Through you, Madam Mayor, as was stated at the last meeting, there's been a survey that's been undertaken. The surveyor has signed off on that survey. I have not looked at each tree. I have not done the survey. That's why you engage a professional surveyor. He has his professional credentials on the line. So if he falsifies a survey, then there's disciplinary action to be taken. And I doubt very much whether that in fact is the case. So as much as we wish to be empathetic, a private citizen allowed the trees to cut, and we don't have jurisdiction on that. And that's, as much as we would like to help, I would caution us to get involved in that.
Just a technical point. I actually don't think Joanne is supposed to be reacting there.
Yes.
Because it's already,
I was just
December, January, February, March, April, May. it should probably be Councillor Bain. That would be my opinion.
Thank you, Councillor Ando. I did not ask for this gavel. I just happened to be convenient, and I was happy to assume the role. I've had my 3 months as a...
Perhaps you could pass the mantle joke.
I passed it over to you, Councillor Bain.
Give a bang and it that way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are we closed
Okay.
on this issue?
Okay.
At least there's
It's
lights.
being repaired.
Mayor Broughton, you're officially on again.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let me move us along, if I may, to the reports. Interim CAO, Mr. McBradu. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, as you can see, we're out of the building as much as we possibly can, and I apologize to you and to the community. We were supposed to be in the school tonight, but unfortunately we are not able to use the school during the period of the strike. But we are moving forward with this, and the work is progressing. As I'd mentioned, we have now moved to the Clap building, and we are getting our exercise every day, running up and down the 4 flights of stairs, I think it is.
You're looking very good.
And we are now moving forward. The re-roofing is going forward, and it's working well. We have been working very diligently on the budget. We are meeting with Kindred tomorrow to finalize their tender document, or not the tender document, but their complete package, and we'll be coming forward with a whole package for the community on the cost of this and what works are going to be involved in the repair of this building, and we're looking for a reopening in the early fall. Temporary trailer is located up the hill in the bright yellow, orange building that Susan is manning on a regular basis, running up the 4 sets of stairs. It's open. We're open as well for the hours on Monday, July 7th and July 10th from to 6 p.m. From 10 to 6 p.m. Taxes are due July 14th at 4 p.m. just to make sure. We are working on a procedure bylaw that will come forward. Hopefully there's, over a period of time that I've been here, there's been a number of things that I've seen, that Mandy has seen, the community has raised, and so we'll be coming forward with a draft, a revision to the procedure bylaw for early June, or July I should say. The annual report is on this agenda, and hopefully it is somewhat informative and certainly gives us an opportunity to provide some look of what we accomplished, what this committee accomplished, and what this community accomplished, I think, in 2013, and what we're looking forward to. The other part is that I've attached the accounts payable to this report, and what I wanted to do is try to provide as much information that we possibly can to the community. I'm not sure if it's been done here in the past, but I know that other communities have been in, and so that the community has a clear understanding. And you have a clear understanding of what is being spent by the municipality. I'm also very pleased to announce, I think it's now on our website, is that we have now hired Nikki Hoagland as our new manager of Public Works. What we wanted to do is to thank Will Emo, who is our acting manager of Public Works, for truly embracing the leadership opportunity, committing his expertise to moving forward as we made the transition. So we're very excited. Ms. Hoagland, who has an MBA, has held the position of Manager of Public Works for the City of North Vancouver. And one of the things that I was most impressed with is that very shortly after she was hired by the City of North Vancouver, she was given a mandate to make the division more professional, accountable, businesslike, and transparent. And she had the responsibility for their overall direction, planning, control, oversight of the division, which included roads, fleet, water, utility, sewage, and drainage, solid waste, operations center, and administration. She came very highly recommended, and I checked with her references. One of the questions I posed to her is why she would want to come to the Village of Lions Bay. And I was most impressed with is that I truly believe she could probably work in any size municipality. She has incredible credentials, and what I was most impressed with is she wants to make a difference. And in the discussions that we've had with you, that I've had with you, is that I truly believe that, you know, we are going to make Lions Bay one of the most efficiently run municipalities within the next while. And I think by attracting Nikki to come to Lions Bay is very exciting for us. And I think she truly believes that she wants to be part of that. And so I'm most excited that she's willing to come forward. The other part is water supply. There was discussion about, and I'd mentioned this I think a number of months ago, but there's been ongoing discussion by the province as well as municipalities about the possible dry summer and the snowfall, the snowpack that's up there. And some questions were posed recently about what are we going to do? Whether do we have restrictions? Because what's happened now is a lot of Metro Vancouver has implemented restrictions, water restrictions. Squamish has had restrictions since May 1st. And so I started looking at our water regulation bylaw, which is the second bylaw that this village adopted, which was bylaw number 2 in 1971. And other than the rates, it has not been changed since 1971. And I think if you look on page 34, one of the sections in it actually states, no person shall use water for irrigation purposes. So I think it desperately needs to be updated, and that's one of the things that we'll be looking at. But really what's brought this forward was, I think there should be some discussion about how the Village of Lions Bay residents use their water, and whether we don't really need to go on restrictions because we have a continuous flow. What we should be looking at though is conservation, and to determine and to really understand that water is a non-renewable resource. And in discussions with Metro and my colleagues from other municipalities, we all recognize the importance of water and the usage of water. So what I wanted to do is really bring this forward. It's actually a member of the infrastructure committee that I guess prompted this discussion, even though it has been ongoing for a while. But what I wanted to do, and I've had discussions with the mayor, and I've attached to you is the bulletins that Metro Vancouver has put out, as well as some information that the province of British Columbia has put out with respect to snowpack and what's called the pillow, automated snow pillow real-time data on Disappointment Lake. So it's interesting to look at this. So what I wanted to do is just have an opportunity for council at the end of this to have a discussion about whether in fact we should be moving forward with a public discussion on water conservation. So before I do that, I just wanted to talk about the Public Works capital budget that I've attached. As I mentioned, we have Nikki Hoagland coming on next week, and I must congratulate Will for doing a very good job. And so what I want to do is give you a quick update on where we are in some of these projects. The Lions Bay Beach Park, we've had the application for the septic field is now with Vancouver Coastal Health. We have verbal approval, and we are now awaiting pricing, and so we're looking at moving that forward, most likely in July. One of the questions we talked about was the impact that's going to have on the grass portion of it, and what we're looking at is that we'll seed it and we'll probably put straw on top of it, and so there is an opportunity to have that grow pretty quickly and without the mud and without people disturbing it too much. We looked at whether we wait till later on in the season or whether we turf it. Turf is probably going to get damaged even more than this, and we've talked to people who've done this in the past, and they recommend that. Kelvin Grove washroom, we're getting a second quote on that, and we're gearing up for September to complete that work. The Harvey Creek Road intake baskets have been completed. The access road above Ocean View Gate, we budgeted $40,000, and we've had discussions with CREAS, and we're looking to undertake that work probably in July. Fire hydrant replacement is ongoing. The water leak detection equipment, we've now received quotes. The SCADA upgrade, we need to go for tender for that, and that's a discussion that I've had already with Nikki Hoagland about where we're going. And I also want to thank some of our neighboring municipalities for their guidance. For the water bypass Magnesia Creek, we are looking at this, and what we do need to install is the PRV. So we're looking at this work probably in September, October. We budgeted about $60,000 for the PRV, and that needs to be installed first. Then we go to a budget, and that's probably what we're going to be able to achieve this year. The magnesia intake upgrades and rock wall remediation, we budgeted $75,000. At this point in time, we've got about, we are in the process of looking at the costs. We're looking at probably capital costs of about $32,000 plus design, so we're going to be within budget of that, as well as all of them. The Harvey intake road, we are looking at that. We budgeted $150,000. We are looking in August, but this may be one of the things we want to look at for Build Canada.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're moving forward, and again, thank you to Will and to staff. The municipal waste reduction is the last part. We are moving in this, and as has been mentioned, is that you and I have met with Ruth Simons on June 2nd and discussed our involvement, and as well as our obligations under the waste management regulations. There has been this discussion about expanding the terms of reference for this committee, and so the question is that if you wish this committee to move forward, what I suggest is that you ask that I prepare the terms of reference and bring forward in July.
Yeah. Could you do that?
So,
with council's permission.
Yeah. So if we can, if you do want to have some discussion, I know Mayor Broughton, you and I have had a fair amount of discussion on the on water regulations versus water conservation. So I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, I really think the concept of conservation. So I think it could be quite playful with staff to. Maybe some of the emails that you posted have gone out recently, but just looking at things like when you put on the laundry shower, put on your dishwasher, that kind of thing. Is it full? Is it not? Education around lawn care. Do you really need to water your lawn as much as you do currently? Because there's some great information about that. So things like that. One of the things that I did want to bring your attention to, because there has been a lot of discussion about snowpack. And snowpack is something that, it's not that it's not important, it certainly is, because that's your yield. But we often don't have snow. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We have less, more. But we have 4 mountain peaks that represent over 12,000 hectares of watershed, and we have a very significant watershed going into Magnesia Creek. So I was just explaining redundantly to Mr. McBride yesterday morning that it rains and then it goes onto the tree and then it sheds down and then it sheds into the water and then it sheds into the creeks and then the creeks shed into the other creeks, then the big creeks shed into the larger creeks. And so it's a real process of time. So it's something that happens, it goes into the ground, that alone takes about a few days. So, so our watershed size matters, that it's so big, because it's all shedding down, and that watershed is important. So starting to the north of us, it includes Mount Brunswick, Mount Harvey, the Lions, and then just to the south of the Lions, Mount Unnecessary. So those are the 4 mountain peaks. But so all of that, so I don't want people to be frightened about snowpack when they look at the lake that's in here. We're in relative good shape. But the overall snowpack is down this year, and that is an important statistic. But our rain is also very important, and the size of our watershed is really important. And so I just want to make sure that people have fulsome information rather than partial information. I think that that's really important. But with the conservation, I think that we could even have a little contest in an e-post quote, say, what ideas do you have about conserving water? That we are a use it or lose it system. We're not a reservoir system. So this is one of the confusing elements whenever we have new staff come on board because they're from a reservoir system often in Metro or in Squamish, and we're a use it or lose it system. So, just having said that, nonetheless, that concept of conservation is a more fitting word for us. And I think that we should make it interesting, fun, playful, shift people's paradigms through thoughtfulness about their own property. So I don't know what council thinks about that idea, but Councillor
I don't
Armstrong?
know. Competition's always fun, and it's useful, and it's educational. I think more information is what we need.
Yeah.
And I really believe our children can really help our grown-ups. Unfortunately, they're not in school now, but I've seen it happen time and again. When the kids have got it and they take it home and it goes at the dinner table, that's it. Mommy, you're going to do it. Daddy, that's the way it's done. And that's something I would, maybe the fall is too late. I'm certainly in favor of this, and I think there's a bit of confusion, and use it or lose it. Some of these are catchphrases that will really make a difference. Instead of we've had a very sparse winter and now we have a big worry. More information, please, and let's dispense it and distill it and distribute it, I guess.
It might. I think that that's helpful for me too, thinking education and inviting input. One of the things that our conservation officer said to us in a safety meeting at the end of April last year, he said, you're not going to like what I say, but I'm going to say keep watering your properties, because that's the way to prevent wildland fires in Lions Bay until there is, until you're on water restrictions. Thank you. And that was something that certainly we know. And anybody who drove up into the properties when they first went on water metering saw all the dead hedges, and that was just like anybody could throw a cigarette out the window and it's gone. And we don't want orange hedge syndrome where Lions Bay goes up. So
I'd like to say that sort of thing is a big fire hazard too.
That's what the fire person said. He said, you're not going to want to hear what I have to say, but what I'm saying is water. When you can and as you can. Just so each property, if it can maintain a moisture level. So yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Brodin. I've got a number of items. Firstly, to interim CAO McGrady, thank you very much to you and your team. Certainly during the tenure of this council, we have not heard such a robust capital projects program rattled out in a minute. So thank you very much for your team and the execution of that. It goes without saying, thank you very much to Will Emo during his tenure as interim public works manager. Not an easy job at the best. On my sort of financial bent, not all villagers know, but certainly, Mandy, if it could be recorded, that while council may know that there was certainly one event that he partook of that had an annual cost saving to the village of $30,000. Which is very significant, so thank you, Will. Again, kudos to Mr. McGrady for attracting Nikki, a great catch for the whole team. That's all the good stuff. Now I've got some questions. The Kelvin Grove washroom, you'd mentioned it was second quote. Was that for asbestos or for the scope and design, the actual work?
Actual work.
Thank you very much. The second one, which relates to scope and design, if the central beach is being done for the septic field, should I put in process to marshal the public arts and the Arts and Council to start thinking about scope and design for the central washroom? Or would you prefer that to sit for the time being?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, I think they should be moving on this.
Good, it'll happen now. And thirdly, on the community center renewal, there's the date is August the 1st for phase 2, which is that the roofing piece?
August 1st is for substantial completion.
Yes.
Of the community center.
Of the whole community center, so then...
At substantial completion.
Yes.
Then there's still work to do after that.
And so between August the 1st and what you said was mid-fall, what happens during that period?
we make sure everything is working
Perfect.
properly and everything is
So would mid-fall
Painting.
be sometimes like mid-September?
mid-fall.
Mid-fall. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, and, yes, Councillor Ando?
Thank you for your report. I was particularly interested in the AP because I've never seen one or seen the villages before. There's only one that I'm not sure about, and I'd like just further clarification. The second to last, check number 21618. I was wondering if you could provide more information
Yes,
on that.
that is provided to the project manager to hold in trust and to pay the construction manager as the project moved forward. We needed to move that forward to pay Kindred Construction prior to the deadline for the federal grant.
Thank you.
As per agreement.
And so there's
With Western,
Mhm.
yeah, economic. Any other further questions?
Just this point, Madam Mayor, and I don't want to, this is, even though I signed all the checks, it's quite interesting to go through this. And I think this is something that we're going to, Mandy and I have been talking about is how much more information can we get out to the public. And I think this is a good step forward to get it out, because then, the public is very clear on how we spend our dollars and cents. And so I think, what we're trying to do is get information out. And, when you start looking at this and you go through them on a weekly basis, but when you start looking at it, this is a very complicated, we still have the same responsibilities as any other municipality. And I must congratulate staff for preparing the POs, making sure that the invoices are in there. And Haley, I must congratulate, Haley as well. She's done an incredible job making sure that everything is completed correctly. All the invoices are in there, all the POs are in there, all the signatures are in there. We've now, as I mentioned, just after I got here, we purchased new Maze PO system. We're now moving the fire department onto that as well. So, we are making, I think, tremendous progress. It's a matter now of ensuring that everybody is online and everything is clear.
Thank you so much. Maybe as a bit of a segue between your report and my report, I'd just like to thank you so much. And one of the things that I was meeting with our MLA for a couple of hours this afternoon, and I just said, well, I'm a vision person, I'm a numbers cruncher person, and which many of you may not know that. But I want to say how much I appreciate and systems and procedures, policies, and efficiency, well, being effective. And so I want to thank Mr. McGradu and all of staff for their efforts in this area and for noticing things. And it's the comments that Councillor McLaughlin made, because Mr. Emo noticed from a course that he went on that we didn't need to be paying for a service that we were paying for. And he approached Vancouver Coastal and just saved the community $30,000 every year minimum, because the costs of the private contractor go up. This kind of noticing, I'm noticing as mayor, that all of staff are doing, and in our processes and systems. Thank you so much, Mr. McGradu, for acknowledging that staff's efforts. They seriously make a difference. And I know this has been said by Mr. McGradu and many council members and myself many times, but our community has to fulfill the same functions that every municipality, large and small, fulfill in British Columbia. And we are expected to do it as professionally and as seriously and with the same effectiveness as all. So I really appreciate that. And we do have a goal to make Lions Bay really a model community in that regard.
Madam Mayor, just before you start on yours, I do want to again thank staff as well as the community. This move has gone extremely smooth because of Mandy's preparation and staff's preparation and the execution of the actual move, including getting them back under the same contract to do some things that they didn't deal with. We are in a very crowded place upstairs. Susan's in a very, it's okay now, I think, even though she's by herself, but we do have protection there. Is that, the summer heat is going to come and going up and down those stairs. And so, we have to ask, the community to be a little patient with us. It's going to be, I think, a challenge over the next couple of months to fulfill. Plus, when we want to get something, we have to go search boxes at certain times. Or at least I do anyways. So thank you, staff.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very, very much. And as you say, particularly Ms. Prince and the overall team. I noticed the friendliness and happiness factor in those corridors. I'm looking at Ms. Lautet at the back, Susan Lautet, and thank you very much as well. If I can move us along to the mayor's report, and I just want to mention something that we're going to be resolving later in the agenda, and it's a good news story for Lions Bay and for other small communities in Metro Vancouver, and that is that we haven't had any access to the gas tax program. So you might have driven through British Columbia and wondered, how did they get that? How did they get that? And they got it because of gas tax. Because we're part of Metro Vancouver, all of our gas tax has gone to TransLink. Recently, through many discussions of many communities that are small in Metro, your community being one of the outspoken communities, that it was hard on us to not receive any gas tax. And UBCM has now, they're the broker for the gas tax that gets brokered from the federal government through to the provincial government through the Union of BC Municipalities. They're now have a new program that withholds 5% of that, and it was going to be on a per capita basis, which would have put communities such as Lions Bay with such a small population at receiving a very small sum, pennies really. And so we negotiated, and Metro board supported that the small communities would get, we'd negotiated $50,000 annually. It is $53,762 annually for the next 10 years. So that's just over $500,000 that we'll receive through that program. And that is sustainable, what's called sustainable funding. We will pass a resolution to have Mr. McGrady and myself sign that contract later in tonight's meeting. So that's been a real plus. When I've attended the Mayor's Council meeting last year, we got the resolution to support the Small Communities Grant, which means additional $300,000 for us year over year. And that was successfully concluded and completed. And now this, with the UBCM president coming to this year's Mayor's Caucus meeting, and BC Mayor's Caucus meeting, which I attended in the Kootenays, and as the keynote, and had an opportunity to speak with both publicly as how vitally important this was to our community, and that we've managed to pass on the Metro resolution, and that if this could be dealt with post haste. And she was off to a meeting at that time with the Union of BC Municipalities and assured that she would bring that to the agenda, and the letter coming to us was dated May 30th. So I'm so pleased with those timelines. It has been a busy time for everyone. I'd be really remiss though if I didn't say how proud I was that this year Lions Bay has 21 graduates, and from grade 12. They're just Lions Bay's gold, magical and ready for their next doors to open, and I guess with that, windows to close. Therefore, as your mayor, I take a message to them that they will always be citizens of Lions Bay, and Lions Bay will always be wind under their wings, no matter where they are in the world, no matter where their families live, that Lions Bay will welcome them as citizens. So just wanted to mention that. The waste management, Grant McGrady has mentioned, and the other things are on-site visits over matters pertaining to Lions Bay, and it speaks to the continued need for that outreach. So I'll stop there and go on to our next report. Councillor Ronsley.
Yes, I think most of it is rather right up to date and self-explanatory. I said I would give a verbal report on the community garden. There's still one plot available. Those of you who would like to grow vegetables in the fall or flowers or what have you, Tina Schneider is the person who can make it available for you. The weather has been very challenging for the group, and so the crops are not perhaps as good as they might be. I'd like to move on to the Bear Smart meeting, which was here in the community at Norman Rogers' house. It was attended by the total group, including Mandy, who is a dynamic part of it. I have something in that regard, which I'd like to, it has to do with coyotes, and I might save that for a bit later. But we had quite a fine presentation by Sergeant Bursink from BC Conservation Department, and I learned a lot, and all of us did. Coyotes are, we're about with the coyotes where we used to be with bears, and we're about in need of education and how to behave, and we can live side by side. There are certain things that have to be done. It's and one is not to. Some of the suggestions we've had are not the things that are going to help anybody, and certainly not going to prevent the coyotes from coming here. We have a responsibility to take that on, and I think education is needed, exposure is needed, and on the brilliant suggestion of Manny Coates, a suggestion that we bring Sergeant Bursink to the council and to the community for a presentation, as we heard earlier this week, which is just very, very exciting for what's going to be if we learn how to do it. So I'd like to say that's was quite a busy and a good time. I'm going to the North Shore Bear Smart Committee. I'm not a bear person, but somehow it seems to be the portfolios that I've got. That meets on a monthly basis in North Vancouver, and I will be bringing back more information on that. It's been a very good year for bears because we're getting smarter and smarter, and we know how to live properly, and we don't have to shoot them. We can do the right thing so they don't bother us. So I'll leave that, I think, mostly at that, unless there are any questions. Are there? Thank you.
Seeing none, maybe I'll just go around to Councillor Bain. Is there anything that you would like to report?
Yeah, we've been working at getting CPR training for the ASS team, and it looks like it's going to take place on June 21st.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, bright and early. So that's been a little while trying to figure that one out, but it's coming. Looking forward to going to the ECOM AGM on Thursday, find out what that's all about now that we've signed on the dotted line. So I'll report back in the next meeting what happened there.
Thank you, and thank you for exercising our vote on behalf of the village. Okay, Councillor Ando. Okay, Councillor McLaughlin, thank you. I'm going to then go, pardon me, I didn't move receipt of reports. Could I have council please move receipt of reports? Councillor Bain, Councillor Ando, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. If we can move along then to the tree application report.
Should we speak about the school?
Just the school closure. Maybe I'll just be really friendly and formal. The school, as you know, is out for the summer. And as a result of that, we had scheduled meetings at the school, and we will schedule our meetings as you see them reported. So the location will always be on the agenda.
Plus all the events.
Oh, and the events that are at the school, that have been scheduled at the school, have been canceled. So there's dance, Girl Guides, which I think is already concluded for the year. But many of those programs may have already come to a natural close this week. But those are closed as well. So for the record, for the minutes. And many thanks to the school district and staff for welcoming us so heartily to the school. So if I can move us along here to the tree applications, and Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Broughton. And this will be to deal with tree application number 47 first. And I'll, for the gallery, I'll read a little bit about this so that you get a flavor of what is happening. The tree application 47 references trees that are at the Central Beach Park. These are the trees in question are along the rock wall, if you allow your mind to go to the site, near the chain link fence. The request was to remove 2 trees and reduce the height of 2 others. The committee decided the most appropriate method of dealing with the situation was to remove all 4 of the previously chopped trees. If there's no questions from council, I'm prepared to, I'd like to make a motion to confirm the recommendation.
Okay, if I can call upon council, are you moving the recommendation?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council confirm that the recommendation of the tree committee on the 23rd of May is confirmed.
Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Bain. And any discussion? Called question? All those in favor? Opposed? I can't see everybody's hands.
I'm abstaining.
Abstaining, thank you very much. If I can, move along to tree application number 48.
Number 48, again for the purposes of the gallery, I'll just give a little bit of flavor for this. The trees, tree application number 48, the trees have been topped several times over the last 30 years and no objections were received from the neighbors to do so again. The tree committee would prefer that the trees be removed altogether, but in allowing a further top to be done, all debris must be cleaned up and the remainder of the trees shaped of their long branches, specifically the overhang on Lions Bay Ave. If council's got no further questions, I'm prepared.
And do you have a resolution?
Can I ask a question on that one, Councillor? Is there going to be any replacement of the trees with any other low growing or any?
It's a topping of the existing trees, so there's no replacement.
Okay, thank you.
Are you putting forward a motion?
Yeah, I'm prepared to. I'd like to put forward a recommendation. That's fine. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council confirm the recommendation made by the tree committee in their letter dated July the 12th, referencing tree application number 48, and that council confirm this.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Bain. And any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can then move along to our film committee. I don't seem to, oh, pardon me, I do have the minutes right here. So if I can call upon Councillor Ronsley to perhaps move the passage of the, have you reviewed the film committee minutes? And has the film committee passed the minutes?
I so move.
Mm-hmm. And has the film committee's passed the minutes?
Sorry, the minutes, they saw the draft form of the minutes.
That's great.
Sorry, and they passed it last night.
Fantastic.
Unanimously.
They're appropriately here. And so we've received these, so they're part of the moving of receipt. And thank you very much. And any comments that you wish to make?
We had a very dynamic and interesting and meeting in the school last night. I think it's probably the last meeting of the village that was held in the school last night. And we're meeting again in 2 weeks. And the committee, I must say, is very hardworking and did a huge review of lots of documentation before we ever met, and they're moving forward with their recommendations. So I think we'll leave it at that. And we're meeting in 2 weeks from yesterday. We don't know where exactly, but everybody's welcome.
Thank you so much. And again, to review agendas to see where locations of meetings are.
No, it'll be July 21st.
Oh, am I off by? Oh, it's the next. Sorry, it's July 21st. Excuse me.
Thank you.
So many meetings.
Okay.
Sorry, my apologies.
That's quite all right. We have our RCMP report, and we also have on table the Lions Bay Fire Rescue Report, monthly report. Any questions about any of those? Yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Not questions. I also have the Finance Committee piece too.
Oh, yes.
Which is item 3, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. The on table here, the councillors have also got an electronic copy within the last couple of hours. The quarterly financial report, or finance and operations for second quarter 2014 has been reviewed and confirmed by the interim CIO for content and standing, and the Finance Committee has also reviewed no changes, so this has been placed to the editor and will be in the community news next week. And I guess it's quite brief because it's hard to steal the thunder from the interim CIO with his 46 pages of annual reports, so I didn't. This particular piece gives an opportunity for those who cannot go through the 46 pages to get the quick skinny. Thank you, Mayor Brett.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for preparing that. Any questions? Seeing none, I'm going to move us along. We've still got much agenda to get through, both in the public and in the in-camera. So if I may, just bring forward resolution number 9A, purchase of AD&D insurance for volunteers. Resolution that the Village of Lions Bay Council approves the purchase of volunteer accidental, death, and dismemberment AD&D insurance coverage for one year term at a cost of $360. The rationale being before us, but I'll just maybe read the first paragraph. The village believes that volunteerism is a key component of community development. Volunteers and the contributions they make through their efforts and activities significantly enhance quality of life, increase community connections, and promote an environment of harmony and togetherness within the village. Very well said. Thank you so much to Ms. Kuntz, who prepared this report, and for its review. Any questions or comments? Could I have council please move and second? Thank you, Councillor Ando and Councillor Bain. Any further discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If I can take us then to 9B, which was added to the agenda, the gas tax fund resolution. In this resolution, there's agreements and there's eligibility and ineligibility. The agreements are the agreements to send in our notes regarding the funds that we've received and how they've been used. And the projects they've been used on are in fact eligible. And in your package you'll see that agreement, and the agreement includes things like roads. Just a sec, let me go to it because it's heartening. I'm just going to go to where it reads off. I think it's B. Yeah, here it is. Roads, bridges, transportation infrastructure, highways, community centers, drinking water, wastewater, solar. So it's covering the whole sensible infrastructure. What it does say is that they will note that we are receiving that in relation to any other infrastructure funds we'll apply for, which we will apply for, and we'll hope that they don't reduce the amount that we're receiving. I don't think that they will. But that's part of all part of the agreement, and it comes in two lump sums of $26,881.28, for which we're very pleased.
Twice.
So twice a year, yeah. So it's a total of $53,000. I've got it someplace in my documents. $53,762.56, if I remember correctly. Thank you very much. Very good. So if I can, have council move the following resolution, that the Village of Lions Bay Council resolves to enter into this CWF, Community Works Funding agreement to enable the mayor and the corporate officer to sign both copies and return to the UBCM along with a certified council resolution. So if I could have council please move. Thank you. And a seconder. Thank you. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. And we'll get those 2 copies signed and sent to them. They'll sign both copies and they'll send us back 1 copy. If I can, move us along then to bylaws. Bylaw number 474, election procedures, 3rd reading. If I can have council please move and second. Bylaw, thank you. Councillor Ronsley for moving the 3rd reading. And could I have a seconder please? Thank you. Councillor McLaughlin. Any discussion on 3rd reading? There being none, call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Now, if we can go to the bylaw number 461, animal control bylaw, and I just want to make sure that the 2nd reading has read into the record the changes, and I'll just check with Ms. Kuntz to see if those changes have been...
They're not in the document in the package.
They're not in the document in the package.
No. But if you turn to page 95.
Thank you so much.
350, which Mandy provided me. 6.7.1, dogs are prohibited at all times for the following areas in the village. Strike out, right now it's got 4 places, strike out Kelvin Grove Beach and Lions Bay Community School Grounds.
Thank you so much.
And 6.72, strike out Kelvin Grove Beach Park.
Thank you very much. Okay, if with those changes, if I can ask, call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can then move along to the last bylaw for this evening, and that's bylaw number 475, secondary suites, 2nd reading. And if I can call upon council to move in second. Could I have a mover? Councillor Ronsley, thank you, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Bain. Would it be helpful to council to are you looking for it in the back?
Page 4 of the bylaw.
Page 4.
It's
and
12. Clause.
Oh, it's on table. Thank
right,
you.
Clause 12.
Page 4, clause 12. Thank you.
Under parking, there was concern that that some of the existing suites could not provide on-site parking, and there was 2 in particular that was being reviewed, and we're having an extremely difficult time. One of the concerns, though, about striking this out entirely is that sometime in the future, be it next year or 20 years from now or 40 years from now, that if council strikes it out and we, for whatever reason, the next generations want to widen that street or something happens, we would not be able to grandfather that. So what, in discussing this with our building inspector and Councillor Ronsley, what we've come up with the concept is to essentially provide a registration on title, which is what is attached, and what will state is that it's essentially a covenant that's going to be attached to title. That says essentially that, paraphrasing, that if we ever want to use it in the future, you're going to have to provide additional space on your property or somebody else's property, but you have to tie it to your secondary suite. So it perhaps is a little overcautious, but I've been in instances where decisions have been made in the past and without due concern about what possibly could happen in the future. So it doesn't mean that we will ever enact this, but it just does give the municipality the opportunity to enforce it if, for whatever reason, whether it be it 5 or 20 years from now.
And it will go on title, so sale over sale, people understand
Okay.
that's their obligation.
So it's in perpetuity, not
In
owner
perpetuity.
specific?
That's correct.
Okay.
It runs at that title.
Thank you so much. So we have a mover and a seconder. Any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. McGrath. Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Oh, pardon me, carried unanimously. Am I correct? Okay. If I can then go to correspondence and have council please move receipt of correspondence. Thank you, Councillor Bain, and a seconder please. Thank you, Councillor Ronsley. All those in favor of receipt? Carried unanimously. If we can then go to page 105, and are there any particular, in the external correspondence, are there any of the external correspondence that you particularly wish to identify for discussion purposes? Yeah, Councillor Bain.
I've got a bunch, but I can take my turn if you like.
Well, if you could just give me the numbers of them, would that be fine at this point?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 11, and 14.
All of them.
3, 4, 6,
1, 2,
8,
3,
11, and 14.
Yeah, be quiet most of the night.
Any others?
Okay.
That's the external.
Shall I get the time?
Thank you so much. I'm going to, before we go on to those, if I could go on to the internal, well, let's stay with those. Are there any other external that people wish to identify? Okay, I'm seeing none. I'm going to, Councillor Bain, you're on. So number one.
The issue about the Next Generation radio program, I found it kind of a surprise at first. I didn't see it coming, but I see they've got it funded into our system. And in a conversation I had with a fellow at Ecom yesterday, he was saying they've expanded their coverage area up as far as Prince George, and so the cost of service is actually going to be less for us than in the future. So I think this will be absorbed quite nicely, and it's not something we should fear. Just briefly. And over to number 2. Yeah, this one was about first responder assistance due to the changes in the call-out pattern for the emergency ambulance service. It's an issue that's been going on for a while. We brought it up before, and I had a call into this Dr. Dick, who's the planner and organizer of the whole system. And I was supposed to have gotten a return call from him explaining this, how he would explain the system so that we could better understand the impact to our service, because with the ambulances out of the village, as they are more now than they have been, our fire department is having to stand by on calls of lesser importance, as they deem them, for a longer period of time, accruing increased costs for us on the call-out system of our department. As of yet, I haven't had a call back from Dr. Dick, and that's why I would kind of like to lump a few of these in together. If I can go down to, where'd it go? Number 8, City of Pitt Meadows resource allocation. It sounds like the reason I haven't got a call back is I think communities are lining up to get at Dr. Dick about this issue. So I think we can step back on this one, and the heavyweights will take over and we'll reap the benefit. Let's see, so much for that one. Oh, it's got great detail in there. I was happy to see the wildfire news enter into our package. I've been getting these things for quite some time, and now that they're in our package and the community has access to them, there's a lot of interesting stuff that comes through here that could help people be more safe for wildfire should it hit our community. Jumping around a bit. Sorry for the delay.
That's okay.
Nope, lost my train of thought. I'll pass for now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, if I could reinsert when I get organized, I'd be happy to weigh in.
Well, I just want to thank you for going to the ECOM AGM.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you very much. So let's go to the internal correspondence. Any of the internal correspondence that people have particularly noted?
Coyotes.
I think that maybe we
Would
can-
it be the appropriate moment?
Yep,
To follow up on the issue of coyotes in the village, there, and they are concerned because we don't know exactly what to do about them.
Trying to get a mosquito rid.
A mosquito? It's another concern. Can't do anything about the mosquito. However, what I'd like to propose is that we have an education awareness drive, if that's the right word. Gee, he's really flying around. And bring the same person that we heard at our meeting here to the village, and to educate and help the people what to do and what not to do. I'd rather not go into the details just now, but there is an urgency, and my concern is because people are concerned, people are worried about their children, people are worried about their cats and their dogs, and some of the correspondence we have received in the village here as a council is very assertive and very, I'm afraid, needs more information. So I think I would suggest that we, for beginners, that we put out a call. I would like to and invite the sergeant to come here. But I'm afraid that the urgency from the village residents is concerned is that, you know, I'm scared to death and I do something immediately now. So we're talking once again about garbage. We're talking once again cats and dogs that are left out and to wander. And we're also talking about what to do when they are out there, and there are steps to take besides shooting or what have you. It's for us to become more responsible and immediately. So I propose that we see if we can get the sergeant to come here. We're in a difficult situation as far as hosting a community group, are we not?
There's electronics. You can do it electronically.
We could do it electronically.
And you can do it.
Or we could do it in a private home if we find it, we can't do it
Public
here.
meeting in private home.
People are feeling
about that.
very concerned. I know that before I saw this concern of the community, about 2 years ago now, we also were introduced to the idea that coyotes are in Lions Bay through the loss of a cat. And that was a very hard experience.
Mm-hmm.
So in reading the notes from residents, they're concerned to know what to do about coyotes and how to help their kids not be frightened and how to help their pets be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so if this fellow could come out to the community and help us, whether it's we have a host home, which I think our first council met regularly on Isleview in a home. But if we could have even a host home would be maybe a help.
Perhaps I can make a telephone call
Yeah.
first thing tomorrow
Yeah.
and see what the possibilities of an immediate meeting is for the village, and further to that a list of things, do's and do nots, that could be sent out electronically from the office.
That's great.
Are there any questions?
Yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Such an idea. The next big public event is Canada Day. Just stretching what the constable's time available is, certainly to think to a quick information booth, kind of touch and learn kind of thing.
Excellent
Just,
idea.
just
Great.
posting that as the fastest, biggest way to get it to the child parent group with likely small animals.
That's a really nice idea.
And it
I'd like
gets
to
a
get
piece
in
of
touch
cake,
with
too.
Norma Rogers too,
Okay.
and our whole committee, Mandy, and get some feedback and perhaps some man who is also support.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
very
you for the
much.
suggestion.
Okay, I'm going to move us along then, and are there any other notes from within Lions Bay? I know that Mr. McGratty will normally, yes, Councillor Bain?
If I can touch on a potentially contentious issue here, it's just a bit of clarity I think is needed in the first one of the internal about a construction business on Ocean View. And the writer of the letter states, we are very disappointed that no action was taken to close down the commercial business. And I think we need some clarification there that this council has no intention of closing down commercial businesses. We just want to ensure that bylaws are adhered to.
The previous council spent some time, energy, and effort on that particular item. What page are you on? I'm sorry.
It is 266.
266, thank you. Going in the wrong direction here. Oh, and I actually have it earmarked. And the residents involved had sent, probably begun maybe in October. Oh, they've got it here, maybe September 2012. I think before that, maybe October 2010 originally, because I know that the previous council dealt with it extensively on Upper Ocean View. So I'm just, I think that there's been a clear message to the resident by council, if we look into our letters sent to the resident, that so perhaps what we can do is ask Mr. McGratty to review those letters sent to the resident regarding machinery kept on a residential property.
Mayor Broughton, thank you, Councillor Bain. I drive up and down the street several times a day. I can assure you there is no what would be considered heavy commercial activity here. And my understanding that the heavy equipment that's being referred to here is the resident's truck.
Oh.
I think this is,
could we leave it in Mr.
I believe this
McGratty's?
is a more inter-resident issue than it is
Yeah.
commercial activity.
I'd like to know what I'm going to be doing with it.
I think that the resident referred to excavator backhoe Bobcat in the July 15, 2016, pardon me. I think it was an excavator that they were referring to, not a truck, but I'm just going to say that the previous council spent some time on this, and that it would be fair to say that I don't think that residential, just looking at the residential properties, that the heavy equipment would be not kept on residential property.
Perhaps we can discuss after, since I'm not sure what you want me to do.
Just review the literature that's already gone to the resident, I would imagine.
But for... Okay,
and
we can
maybe bring
discuss
it
that.
back, and maybe bring it back for information to council, because letters from the Village of Lions Bay have already gone to the resident that is listed as the residents of concern with the excavators.
Okay, we can discuss it afterwards.
Yeah.
Councilor McLaughlin says it's not an issue, so...
I don't believe it's an issue.
So I'm just concerned that, you know, if I'm supposed to do something with it, I will, but I'm not sure, rather than reviewing it, I'm not sure.
I think that the village's position should be reviewed, and I mean, that's what I'm saying, just, and then you can look at whether that's an issue or not an issue, I don't know.
Okay.
But
Be happy to take this up with Mr. McGratty off table.
yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Okay, there being nothing, If we can move along then to new business. The regional growth context statement, and Mr. McGrady has offered to update that for us, bring it to our next council meeting, and then get that off to Metro then to reading it. So that's just really a touch base. Stop me if you want to, but I'm just going to move through these with some hopefully clarity but speed. The Boulevard construction use and damage deposit, that was just in relation to an issue that came up recently, and whether there is a timeline that we need to introduce into our policies and procedures around when the damage to boulevards is fixed. So it may be that people are working inside their home for a couple of years, but really there's no new construction, and is it timely then to for the village to complete the boulevard, to ask that the boulevard be completed. So, okay, so that's that. Then 12C, 2013 annual report, public review period. If you want to address that, so thank you very much, an outstanding report and great news. Looking at our annual audited statement.
Madam Mayor, there will be a special meeting that we'd ask to be called on July 3rd because what is required under the charter is that we provide the annual report. The public has 2 weeks to review the annual report and then provide any input to council, and then we submit it to the province. So we're asking that there be a special council meeting on the 3rd to review the public. Hopefully it's at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Location to be determined, but we're hoping we can have it here, or that the school we can use the school.
Okay.
So we will need a special council meeting to be called at that point in time later on. But to actually speak to the annual report, again, I want to thank staff for preparing the document, as well as I guess, and obviously our auditors as we move forward. I won't go through my comments other than, and I think Councillor McLaughlin has gone through the financial statements, and we've got the audits out there. But what an annual report does is it gives you an opportunity to talk about your business plan, or how you're going to be able to, when you start out in an organization, the milestones that you hit or not hit, and give an explanation to the community. I'm looking forward to when this is done in 2015 for 2014. That's going to be a much more detailed document. I think council is, what I've seen anyways, is that you've spent much of last year's preparing for the future, preparing. I think the groundwork. We've been able to attract some excellent staff here. I think what we're looking at is developing a good strategic plan as we move forward. Now, obviously, there's going to be a new council in 2014 in November, and one of the things that certainly you and I've talked about, Madam Mayor, is that to make it very clear at the very beginning at the council is to get them together and to develop a very strategic plan, a 4-year plan. Now that it's going to be 4 years into here. And to actually set milestones, because I'm a strong believer that if you can't measure it, then you can't really achieve it. So what I would really like to do is actually set up a strategic plan, make sure that you actually have a scorecard. In my past organizations, I've established a scorecard, and we've looked at it, and we've looked at the 3 legs of sustainability and economics, and the culture of an organization. And I think if we can change the culture of an organization to one of really wanting to move forward, you can achieve an awful lot. We have a very limited tax base in Lions Bay. I think the only way we can achieve more is to get our staff to, I guess, work smarter, work better, and that's through educating them, allowing them to be more independent in achieving certain things, set goals, and let them achieve what we've set out. I think a lot of the problems has been in the past in many organizations is that management hasn't managed properly. And what I'd really like to do, as you've talked about, is to set the policies and procedures, not only to make sure that they're up to date, but they're understood and carried forth. And so that's certainly going to be the task that I will set forward. And I've talked with Nikki Hoagland about moving that forward. I've chatted with staff, and I think we are looking at I think a bright future. We've got obviously some challenges ahead of us, but I think by being clear, communicating that well and often to the community and to ourselves, continuing to go back to the touchstones in any organization, I think is critical. And I'm hoping that the 2015 annual report is going to be able to say that what the council in 2014 stated they're going to accomplish has been accomplished.
Excellent. I'd like to say that to council and to the gallery that when I read this, and my thanks to staff for the preparation, as you're saying, and Mr. McGrady particularly for the oversight and integration of the presentation of thought from council, from staff, from the community's vision of itself and goals, and integrating that into not only reporting for 2013, but bringing that forward and integrating that into the thinking of 2014. I can't thank you enough. I just, Mr. McGrady and I had spoken about this report, and when the draft came back to me, I have to say that I changed nothing. I believe it was literally, possibly nothing. And after reading every word, it might have been some edits. But just looking at this sense of stability in every business, in every corporation, big or small, you need a sense of vision and where you're going and the creation of the ability to get there. And that is the moment that Lions Bay is at this point. It has built itself beautifully on committed volunteers, committed staff, committed councils. And today we have moved into building a culture of that meets the new realities of the electronic age, of the demands that that fast-moving electronic age has put on communities large and small, and put on our community, which has meant more policies and procedures that are more important, more clarity about, as Mr. McGrady was saying, on helping staff be educated about how to do things that are required legislatively, but also inputting on their ideas about how best to accomplish things. So I just thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. And it's just an outstanding report. So with that, if I can ask council if I can move forward with this. Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, this will be received and forwarded to the public for public comment.
Okay, so please, could I have council receive it, move receipt? Councillor Ronsley and Councillor Bain. Call question on the motion for receipt. All those in favor? Carried unanimously, and that will go forward to the public. If we can then go to the BGC engineering letter, Upper Bayview. I think everybody's had a chance to review it, and I have to thank Mr. McGrady and Mr. John Oakley, and I need to thank the engineers of BGC for their ongoing coming back to the table and coming back to the table many times, and finalizing this at the request. Of course, their report is of public record, but really finalizing a letter that is consumable and approachable, as residents were asking for something that was brief and of a summary nature. Mr. McGrady, would you like to add anything here?
Madam Mayor, other than to state that we empathize with the owners of the properties, and their concerns. And I know the council, yourself, and I think Councillor Ronsley, have met with provincial representatives a number of times to see what can happen with it. And the province has come back continuously saying that there's no funding at this time, whether it's ever going to be funding in the future. But I think as we hear what's happening in Pemberton and other places around this province, the chances of the province coming up with any funding is probably going to be remote. So one of the concerns we had, though, is that the document identified certain properties. And in discussions with the consultants, we asked really, how did this comparison or this model, how was it created? And it truly is an interesting one, because they actually used the City of Hong Kong as a template and some of the material that they used. What's interesting about all this is that it's not legislation. And so one of the things that we ended up scratching our heads about is that how does this really fit into the risk of other communities, including West Vancouver, for example, or Richmond, and other places. And so what we asked, I think on your insistence when we spoke with both BGC as well as the province, they understood, I think, the complexity of this, and I think the scientific theorem, I guess, is the right word. And so what we asked them to do is to try to put that theorem into some type of realistic, understandable, and local language. And I think as much as they could, I think they've achieved it. I don't think it achieves it as well as we would have liked to achieve it, but I think they've done a good job. And I think what they've talked about is that the risk there is probably no different than many other places, including many places in West Vancouver.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. An excellent summary. What the purpose of it being on the agenda, it has gone to one of the community members. We do want to send it out to two of the other community members, and looking at whether we send it out to a total of 3 community members or the, yeah.
It has been.
Oh, it has been good. Thank you. So thank you very much. I'm going to then ask if there's any further comment from council. Okay. There being none, I'm going to move us along. Public questions and comments. And any public questions and comments? There being none, I'm going to move us in camera and thank all of the gallery for joining us this evening in our new and temporary quarters. I don't know how temporary this may be a different meeting location next time. So thank you so much. If I could then ask council, be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council does close the June 17th, 2014 special council meeting to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following section of the Community Charter. 91, a part of a council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one or more of the following. C, labor relations or other employee relations. D, the security of the property of the municipality. M, thank you very much, a matter that under another enactment is such that the public may be excluded from the meeting. FOIPPA S.22 bracket 1 and large bracket. So if I could have council move and second. Thank you, Councillor Bain and Councillor Ronsley. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can go into then the CAOs, I have a mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Ando and Councillor Bain. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. We're now adjourned, not adjourned, but in the open meeting. And for reporting out, the council approved the CAO's contract, number one. Pardon me, the interim CAO's contract, thank you. And number 2, the interim CAO will send a letter to the owners of number 7 Brunswick regarding public lands. And number 3, the interim CAO will review the rock wall across the road from 160 Lions Bay Avenue and report back. So thank you very much. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Councillor Bain, Councillor Rosley. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you so much. Now, if we could just take a